Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Melanie. If you are new here on my channel, we talk about makeup, skincare, product reviews, and anything else that encourages self-care. Today we're going to be talking about brows, and I really wanted to do a video specifically just for brows because I get so many questions on brows. And if you know me, if you knew me when I worked at the beauty counter, you know that that was my favorite thing to do. Every time someone didn't want to do brows, one of the girls was like, I don't want to do brows, I don't want to do it, or I'm busy. My hands up, I'll do them every single time. I love brows. Whether you're starting at the beginning of, I'm just learning how to do my mascara, to all the way to mature age where you're just not sure if you're doing it properly, this is for you. The first thing we're going to be talking about is how to groom your brows. For grooming and trimming your brows, you're going to need two simple things. You need scissors, little ones, not the big ones from your kitchen. Don't do that, guys. I'm watching. If I see any of you do that, I'm going to come after you. And then a little spoolie. And that's, if you don't know what a spoolie is, it's just this like twisty, windy brush thing. I don't know how to really describe it, but you just need a clean spoolie and some scissors. I am going to zoom you in a little bit just so you can see kind of what I'm doing. All right, now that I got you closer to my face than I ever want a camera to be, let's do this. So you're going to take your spoolie and you're just going to brush your hairs upwards. So just brush them out, okay? As I brush these upwards, you can kind of see this, you know how you see this line right here? And then there's just a few that are going above that line. Those are the ones that we're going to trim. You don't want to trim anything below this natural line of your brow. If your brows are kind of like mine and they don't like to stay where you push them, like I'll brush them up and then some of them will go back down. So what you may have to do is you may actually have to hold them there with your spoolie and then trim your brows. So I'm just going to go here, and I don't need to trim much. Honestly, I think I trimmed 2 hairs. But that's just because I keep my brows trimmed pretty regularly. I take care of my brows, that's what I'm saying. If you're like me and it kind of gets thinner on the outer edges, all you need to do is just kind of let it grow, because if you trim too much of this right here, then it's actually going to look thinner, and that is not what we want. We want it to look nice and thick. This next step may be for you, it may not be, it depends on the thickness of your brow. It's when you actually brush the hairs downward. And I have actually only ever done this on a handful of clients because of how thick and how long their brows are. So what you would do is you would just barely trim the bottom areas. I have worked with some brows where when I brush them downwards, they come all the way down to here. And so you just barely trim them up and then you brush them upwards and make sure that that's how you want it. So that is something that you may want to look into doing if you have very thick and long brows, but in general, you may not need that. I know some of you are thinking like, where's the wax? Where's the tweezers? When is she gonna shape them? And guys, okay, just calm your little horses. Okay, we're getting there. I do not like to wax my brows. I prefer to pluck them. That is just my preferred way of doing things. But no matter what, whether you're tweezing or you're waxing, I always recommend that you do it after your brows are completely filled in. And here's why. Waiting to pluck or to wax your brows until after you fill them in is really, really helpful for people who maybe feel like they overpluck their brows all the time, for people who are trying to grow back their brows, for people who are maybe scared that they're gonna overpluck. This tip is perfect for every single person. Honestly, this is the reason why I was able to grow back my brows the way that they are. I mean, they're not perfect, but oh my word, they were thin a while ago, a couple years ago. They were just, oh, the 90s, they did one on me. Now on to one of my favorite parts, how to shape them. And this is probably one of the most intimidating parts for most people, but I love it, so let's do it. If you have more of an average nose like myself, then you're just gonna go right in the center of the nose, a little closer to the bridge of the nose, and then that is where I'm going to mark straight up. Just put a little mark right there. Now that we've got that inner corner decided, let's do our arch. And this one, again, there's lots of different opinions about this, but this is the way that I found that works the very best. So as I'm looking straight in my mirror, the outside edge of the color of my eye is where my arch should be. And thankfully, Mother Nature, that's where it is. The bottom of your nose, the edge of your eye, And that, my dears, is where it should end. I'm gonna put a little dot right there. Now that we've got our guidelines, our 1, 2, 3 down, we can kind of fill them in now. And really, these are just guidelines for you. These rules are really there so that you can learn them and then just break them. Sounds like my childhood. Now, how to fill in your brows. And I really debated on the best way to show you how to do this, but I decided on the matte eyeshadow brow. The first thing you're gonna need is just a thin brush like this one right here. Focus, there you go. A little thin brush like this for your brows, and then the color. If you take nothing out of this video except for this one tip, I'm okay with that. What really matters for the color of your brows is, first off, it needs to be a matte eyeshadow. I mean, I said that in the beginning, but it needs to be matte. And then the tone of your eyeshadow is so incredibly important. So if I can, gosh, nails, get some on there. So these two shades right next to each other, these two, I'm gonna show you the difference in these. You see that? So this one right here is what I'm going to use, and it's because it's more cool toned. This one's got a little bit more of that warmer brown in it, and the reason why I show you this is because it makes a huge difference when you actually put it on. Most people's brows are actually very cool toned. This warmer tone shade I will use quite a lot for, say, like redheads or like warm blondes. The other shades that I will use for maybe those warmer tones is like maybe this shade right here. Oh, I've even used this one on some warmer colored brows. And then down here, that darker, cooler tones for maybe those dark brunettes. So you've got to look at the tone of your eyebrow hairs and then find that same tone in your eyeshadow. So to start, I've just got a little bit on my brush and then I'm just going to tap it off. You don't want too much on your brush, too much product there. And I'm really just going to start, I like to start with the arch. And I'm just going to kind of do these little like press and brush strokes, if that makes sense. Move my hair out of the way. And I'm going to go along this whole entire bottom line. So press and brush, kind of, I'm almost like flicking it outwards. And then bringing it gently down to that line that we marked right there. A lot of people, when I give them the eyebrow brush and I say, now you try, they always go at it like this, like straight on. Go a little closer. But you actually, it's best if you angle the brush down this way. It's going to give you a very soft and actually a much more cleaner line if you do it that way, just angling it downwards this way instead of just straight on. This will give you so much more control as well. So I'm just moving on to this bottom area and really just softly doing those same motions. Now when I've reached this inner corner, I'm going to kind of like brush this up into the hairs, and then I'm going to turn my brush vertically like this. And I'm just going to gently create little brush strokes to this dot that we marked before. See that? Now that I've got my bottom line figured out, I'm going to get a little bit more on my brush, tap it off, and I'm going to go to this top line. And since I've got that arch mark right there, I know where I need to go to. And again, just little brush strokes, kind of stamping and flicking it outwards is what I've noticed works the best. And I'm barely touching my skin. These matte eyeshadows are very pigmented and you don't need to use very much product. You really just want to do this until you are satisfied with your brow. Many of you probably would have stopped before now, but I just kind of want to play with it. Honestly, my brows look a little different every single day because I do different things all the time. I like to experiment and have fun with it, you know what I mean? So that brow is done, and you can obviously see from one eyebrow to the other the massive difference between the two. Brows are so much fun, you know? While I'm doing my other brow, I did want to talk to you guys about what to do if your brow color is different from your hair color. In general, you want to make sure that you're keeping your brow shade at least 1 to 2 shades lighter or darker than your hair color. You could talk to your hairstylist and get their opinion on what shade would be best for your brows if you're doing a really dramatic hair color shade. If during this process you didn't really make any mistakes and you're like, oh, they look great, then you could just honestly leave them and you could go on with your day, but I'm gonna show you how to clean these up. We call this cutting in or cleaning up the brow, and all you're gonna need is concealer and then a little concealer brush right here. Just nice and thin, something that's gonna get right in there. I will have all of the things that I'm using linked down below. I just forget to mention stuff, so I'll have it linked down in the description box if you want to look any of these things up. I'm just getting, the tiniest bit. And honestly, you guys, like, that's all you need. You know when you were kids and you did like the follow the dots to create the shape? This is kind of inspired by that. I'm just gonna go along and put these little dots along my brow where I want to clean this up. And then I'm just going to drag my brush straight across. And I'm almost actually pulling it downwards. I'm not pulling it up because that's just gonna go into your brow and it's not gonna look good at all. See how it just cleaned that up nicely? And then just follow those dots for the top and blend that down. This is not a necessary step, but I find it useful if I'm doing a glam look, just to keep everything looking really nice and trimmed out and clean. This is a nice, easy way for you to clean up your mistakes. I love brows. We're on to the last tip I have for your basics for brows, and that is to gel them. There are two different ways that you can gel your brows. You can use a tinted gel or you can use just like a clear gel. The clear gel is actually really perfect if you like the color of your brows the way they are. If you just want to tame them down and make them stay, then the clear gel is perfect. The tinted brow gel is what we're actually going to be using today, and I'm using this because I want to add a little bit more dimension to my brows. The other use that I have for you for this tinted brow gel is actually for people who want a little bit of color, but they want it to be oh so natural. I kid you not, this is like my favorite part. It has so many uses. You can use it for like what I'm doing to just hold the brows down and give a little bit more of a definition to the brow, or you can just use it by itself and it really just looks so lovely. And you could just brush it downwards this way, just straight down the brow, but I actually like to brush it out, kind of fluff it out. I like a fluffy brow, what can I say? It's moments like these where, you know, I don't even care that I'm quarantined. Like, my brows look good, I'm fine. I know this has nothing to do with brows, but I have to add some gloss to my lips because they needed something extra. All right, you guys, that is our brow basics, and hopefully you had fun. I know I did. I love doing my brows, and I love teaching people about brows. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, you are welcome to. If you want to see more content from me, go ahead and like the like button if this was helpful for you, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Today we're going to be talking about because why leave your lips alone, Melanie, when you can just add like pounds and pounds of lip gloss on it? I think I swallowed a bug. Oh, gross. That's nasty.